Welcome back.
Welcome back. It feels so weird to do this with just us.
Yeah.
Today it's just me and Kasey.
Me is Allie.
I'm doing so well already. Yeah, I'm doing really good at this. I was just assuming everyone would come to YouTube to watch my pajama night at the pod studio.
Yeah, if there was ever a time to watch the YouTube video, it's this one because Allie is in full flannel pajamas.
Listen, we had our first sort of fall day out here today. I wore a coat.
I did too. I went to my personal training this morning and it was freezing. It was like 44 when I left the house.
Humble brag. I was so cold when I
dropping
went to personal training. What are we going to talk about tonight? I kind of feel like I have an idea of what I want to talk about, but I don't know if it's appropriate.
Yeah, so I think we're going to just talk about a few different kind of chatting about things. I wanted to talk about the concept of body image before and after weight loss and weight loss surgery. It's been something that's kind of been on my mind. There's also been some social media.
That's what I want to talk about. I'm so glad you're bringing it up. I wrote in, I don't know what kind of drugs I was on when I wrote my notes for you earlier, but I want to fight people.
Yeah, me too.
So I think we should talk about that, but maybe we should talk about body image first.
And then also, I think we'll talk a little bit more about relationships, kind of, jumping off of the episode from Bill. I think Allie has some insights to share from her marriage. And so we'll get into that. And then we'll get to Allie's last point, social media pics.
That's not pics like you might imagine on social media, like pictures. I literally wrote PICKS.
Yeah, we don't know what that means, but we're gonna get to it. So that's the agenda for today. And
thanks for sticking with us.
I hope you're excited.
If you're still here, you're the MVP. Lisa's out tonight, which feels like we don't have anyone to intro us.
Yeah,
and we don't have anyone who's emotionally intelligent in the room. So
I was gonna say nice.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, same.
She's usually the nice one. We're like, people are stupid, and she's like, well, but are they?
It's just a different perspective, and she's right.
Yeah. No, we'll try our best.
All right, I want to get to the first thing.
Okay,
it's not body image. I'm rearranging.
Oh, okay.
I'm rearranging the topics here.
Okay, let's do it.
I am angry at the people.
Why are you angry, Allie?
Well, you just told me you went on a little bit of a rant, so maybe we've already addressed this, and I did not see it.
Thank you for not watching my content.
I'm the worst. I'm the worst at watching social media pics. I'm angry because I listened to Bill's episode yesterday when it went live yesterday, right?
Yep.
And I was so impressed by him, and not just because I'm #Team Bill, but because I thought it was great.
Thank you.
Actually. And I was annoyed. I am annoyed that people found something to bitch about.
Yeah.
Or to criticize him for saying something wrong when it's so abundantly clear to me that the people who have commented on this stuff are just so uncomfortable with themselves.
Yeah. I really do. I mean, if you watched my social media stories, then
maybe I should have done that as a prep.
I cursed on them, and I never curse on the internet. So I'm angry when I drop the F word. But yeah, so I think this kind of goes back to something we've talked about before, which is if you put yourself out there on the internet, are you asking for opinions? And honestly, in this case, the answer is absolutely not. I never once was asking for anyone to give me their opinion on my relationship with Bill. He was opening up and being vulnerable and sharing his experience of what it's like to date someone who has had weight loss surgery, who shares their journey on social media. And he was so honest and open in that conversation. The fact that anybody could see that as an opportunity to say, oh, I'm going to judge him or your relationship is just wild to me.
So yeah, 100%. And also, even if, let's just say you were asking for feedback, putting yourself out there, you're asking for feedback, whatever. But I love what Ashley said a couple weeks ago. What did she say? Something people in Target I go to Target all the time. They don't tell me I hate your hair.
Yeah, exactly.
It's perfect.
Yes.
But also even if, let's just assume you are asking for feedback. The feedback's incorrect. It's just it's objectively false. And that's what I think bothers me more than anything is these people who are so wrong are also so loud, and I will never understand. I wish I had that confidence to just be that sure of myself when I was incorrect.
Yeah, and it's also somebody was making a comment saying oh, he seems really picky and judgy, and I'm did you read back your own comment?
I just love that because knowing Bill, first of all, I didn't really think he came off that way. I feel I would tell you if I was that's
you
cringy.
would. You would, totally. I wouldn't have put out an episode that I thought was cringy.
No, but like, even if it was like, okay, from your perspective, it wasn't, but from mine, it was, I feel like I would tell you. Also, Lisa would tell you if it was like, I don't know about that. Like,
totally.
But both of us, I saw Lisa text it in our group too. And was like, I loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I just don't understand. Like the one comment that really killed me was about, someone was like, he said you can't be active and overweight, and I'm like, never came out of his mouth. Like,
and they were like,
you
well,
said
I'm obese and I can do all these things.
I can go hiking and walking and whatever, and I'm like, that's amazing. Do you need a medal? Because I don't understand. I also did all that stuff at 300 pounds. That doesn't mean that, like, you literally had just said I couldn't do these things, and then a person is like, you could have done these things. Like, no, I just said I couldn't. Like, what's reality? Is it my perception or is it yours? Because, like, I'm the only one living my life. I couldn't walk 20 minutes to the metro, I think you said. How in the world would you do all the things you guys just listed that you love doing together? Like, that's such an emotionally intelligent answer from him. I'm annoyed.
And I think also, like, in that context of that story, what I was saying is that I used to live right by Wine and Butter, which is basically the halfway point of where we live.
That's where we met the first time.
Yeah. But before the last place before that, before weight loss surgery, I lived like right next.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I lived like right next to it.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, my point was that
That's fine.
that's like halfway to where we go to the market and where the metro is, and I couldn't even walk half the distance that we walk now without a challenge. So it was like putting it in context of, like, you know, my life then versus my life now. And also, I do think what I appreciate about Bill is that he was honest. Like,
that's a hard question to ask.
It's a really hard question. And I think if someone posed that question to me and said, would you have been attracted to Bill and would you have dated Bill if he weighed 400 pounds? I don't know.
Dude, I say this all the time about Corey. Like, I mean, we can talk about this more later, but that's why I don't think I can do an episode with Corey. Like, it would be too much for both of us, I think, to record it. But also, I would let one of these internet trolls come after Corey, and I think I'll end it. Like, I don't think I can handle it. So
you're kicked off the internet for
life.
Like,
I'm gonna have them banned. I don't know. I'm gonna, like, find their friends and tell them they're saying mean stuff.
Okay. All right.
I say this all the time about Corey, though. Like, if I came home and after like 5 or 6 months, Corey was just like a skinny white dude.
Yeah.
I think I have trouble with that.
Yeah.
Like, we have types. Like, it's not a...
Totally.
I don't... Like, people are attracted to different things. And, like, yeah, to make a relationship work, do you need more than physical attraction? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But is that a piece of the puzzle? Absolutely. And if he had sat and said, yeah, I would have totally, like, fallen for you or whatever, like, we don't really know that. And he answered that. He's like, I don't really know. That's a hard question to answer.
Yeah.
I think that's the most honest thing you're going to get, because saying yes or saying no is probably someplace in the middle of BS.
Yeah, I agree. I think people want to live in this, like, fantasy world where they think that a partner is going to be like, I love you for your heart and I love you for everything about you and I would love you no matter what and I worship the ground you walk on. And that's great in your fantasy world. But in reality, a relationship is two people combining two lives and having to make a partnership work. And I don't want a partner who I can do no wrong in their eyes. Like, I want someone who challenges me.
Just kidding. No, I know. It's boring.
And yeah, I think Bill and I have we're such a good team. Like, we really do balance each other so well. And I appreciate his honesty in that answering that question. And I know he loves me deeply for who I am. I don't question that at all. But I think that's a really hard question to ask someone and a hard question to answer. And I like that he gave the answer that he did, which, in case you didn't listen to that episode, and you should if you haven't, he said...
You just skipped right to the pajama episode. It's all right.
He said it's a hard question to answer and he can't say, but he also said it matters so much more than what you look like. It's not about what you look like. It's, you know, how does your life unfold with someone? So he wasn't saying like, oh, I'm only attracted to, you know, thin women. He never said that.
No. If he had, first of all, I would have been like, all right, I guess we all have a type.
Yeah.
But, like, I mean, that's not somebody I would want to date, but, like, fine. I don't know. You make the decision. But yeah, I was just blown away by like, I think it's also funny as a 300 plus pound person who did walk from the neighborhood that we live in now to that very market all the time, at least weekly with my family, and like probably more frequently than that. I was an active 300-pound person, whatever. I don't think I would have ever heard someone's response like that. And today, certainly, I obviously didn't hear that response and feel like that person was saying that I couldn't be active because I was 300 pounds and felt like I had to prove that I could be active. Like I did the exact thing that you're talking about frequently, and never would it have occurred to me to say like, I can do that. Like, I just like don't understand that thought process. And I think it's so sad, I guess, in the grand scheme of things, that like people can hear completely like something that's completely unrelated to them and like internalize it so deeply that they're having to comment on social media. I just like I can't understand that. Also, if you're commenting on social media, please be aware that like you're not doing the gotcha moment that you think you're doing. Like I can't.
Yeah. I don't know. I think people definitely, I think they come to social media for validation and connection. And so I can appreciate that. And I can,
maybe you're nicer than me.
I'm trying to fill Lisa's shoes here. Yeah. I think that I think for a lot of people, when you see something that bothers you or triggers you, I kind of hate that word triggers, but whatever. If you see something that bothers you and you're like, this man's response to his girlfriend saying, would you have been attracted to me before I lost 100 pounds? If that bothers you, instead of immediately being a little keyboard warrior and saying how, awful he is.
Like writing a 10-page dissertation on all the activities you can complete as an obese person.
Yeah. Like take a second and look inward and say, why does this bother me so much? Yeah. I think we would all live in a better world and be better people if we could do that. But people don't go on social media for that self-reflection. They go on social media for, I think, validation of what they're looking for.
Yeah, maybe. But like, if that's what you're looking for, then like curate your Instagram or whatever you're on to like get that validation. Don't be like angry sitting there all day, like, or not all day. I don't know what these people are doing. I shouldn't make that assumption, but like, don't be angry sitting there typing away at people. Just like unfollow them and block that kind of content. You can do that. It's easy.
Can I tell you a funny story?
No.
So I had sometimes this will, thank you. Yeah, I just like kept talking.
I was like, wow, she took that well.
Sometimes this will happen on Instagram where like a video will start to go viral, but it goes to the wrong people. It's like it's not your audience. That
hasn't happened to me, but yeah, I hear you.
And so sometimes that'll happen and you'll start getting tons and tons of negative comments. And usually I'm just like, well, whatever. Like you're just, boosting my engagement rate. So like, keep it up, man.
Wait, that happened the other day when we were having pizza.
Yes, this is what I'm going to get at. Sorry, it was like a before and after transformation video, and I was getting a billion comments being like, oh, you looked better before, too skinny now. And someone wrote, you looked better before, or you look like a scarecrow now, have a piece of pizza. And we had literally just ordered pizza. Allie was over at my house.
Corey, Kasey was taking me in because we had power off at my house for work, and I had the kids and had to get work done. So I'm like, can I come hang out and use your Wi-Fi and I'll buy you guys lunch? Yeah,
and then she bought us pizza, and it like was such comedic timing that I was like, I have to respond to this, like with one of those videos where you put the comment and respond to it. And so I did. I posted a video of me like eating the pizza and being like, jokes on you. And then I literally got a comment on that video being like, you didn't even eat the pizza.
Like do I have to sign something?
Did you think that I ordered a pizza for show so that I could make a video? And then I like spit it out of my mouth because I was like, no, I can't eat that.
Couldn't possibly get the thought of you eating a slice of pizza and spitting it out of your mouth, like because of the calories, is the funniest thing I've heard all night. Yeah. Also, I did notice I brought you guys a chocolate tonight and you didn't eat that. So maybe you are a scarecrow.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's because it was, I was going to say it was cooked and you only like raw cookie dough.
Yeah, I only eat raw cookie dough. No, but it was so funny. And it was such a, like, between the original comments and then the one on the pizza video, it was just like such a reminder of like, you are damned if you do, damned if you don't. No, you cannot please everybody.
So I don't think there are a lot of reasons that I don't think Corey and I are ready to do an episode, which I asked the Instagram yesterday.
Yeah.
So I genuinely was curious, and it was so I'm sad that we're not ready to do it because there were a lot of people that were like, yeah, that would help. But I am not in a position right now where like, I think I can handle it, to be honest. Like I told you, Corey and I talked about it a little bit yesterday, and I felt like I had been like kind of hit by a bus afterward physically. Like obviously I wasn't hit. I don't know if I should say that, but like I felt like exhausted kind of. And I'm like, why do I feel this way? But I will tell you, there was one time where I I think I was posting something about like, I now get up and work out and then I make breakfast for everyone and I get everybody out of the house. And like what happened to the days when I would just like roll out of bed and get on my computer, and I forget exactly what it was. Mm-hmm. And it was basically like, I think a statement on like being a mom and a wife or like whatever, trying to put yourself in the top 10 things that you're doing or whatever.
Yeah.
And this woman who's like super kind and is like a friend of my mom, I think, commented and was like, what does your husband do? Or like, why can't your husband help with anything? And you guys know this.
He's like the most hands-on parent
like
ever.
Does everything.
Yeah.
And I am just like also trying to do everything. That's what it takes to like raise 2 kids and both be working and like, do what you want to do and be able to live the life you want to live. But that one comment, which was like pretty benign, like set me off.
Yeah.
I was like, my heart was racing. I screenshot it and sent it to you guys. I'm like, does this person want to fight me? Yeah. Like,
what's her IP address? How do I track her down?
Yeah. Like I was so angry, and I'm like, yeah, maybe that's a good indicator that I'm not ready for this. I think that's also why I was so irritated about the stuff with Bill, because I'm like, if you just knew, like, you wouldn't say half of this stuff. Like it's just so frustrating, but I don't know. People don't see that. I don't know. Maybe one day Corey and I will grow up and be ready.
Yeah. So do you want to talk a little bit about why you think you're not ready?
Yeah, I think so. It's been hard for us. I think like the transition after surgery was hard. Also, the transition unrelated to surgery has been hard. Mm-hmm. Like we've been married 7 years as of last Friday.
Happy anniversary.
Thanks. And like I would say like we're relatively happy most of the time, and we're definitely partners, right? Like on a lot of things, even if we're not like smitten with each other all the time, which is like what I was saying earlier. There's more to it than that. But I think there's been sort of a growing gap between my perception of myself and Corey's perception of my self-worth. Like, I don't think he realized how stressful it is to be a bigger woman, or how stressful it was for me to be a bigger woman, right? Yeah. Like that may not, I hope that's not the case for everyone.
Yeah.
But I told him, last we were talking about it yesterday, I'm like, I don't think you realize, because like I didn't have these like major medical issues, right? Like I had sleep apnea, but like it was really new for me to figure be diagnosed for this. So like I think it's like it's one of those things where like you say, like you didn't have anything yet, right? And I recognize that there was a fear for sure for me on that, but really I think that one of the biggest things for me was like I was tired of always worrying about my weight and like feeling huge. And I use the example of like Corey's a big guy, but like Corey's expected to be a big guy, and it's not the same. Like I told him yesterday, which I think he was like floored by, I weighed more than him at some points in my life.
He didn't know that?
I don't think so. And he was like, when? And when I told him, he's like, yeah, but you had 2 babies. And I was like, but I didn't then. Like it wasn't like and I think he's like so proud of my body in a lot of ways. And I am too, like in having kids and like, you know, that's a huge thing for both of us. But yeah, I mean, it's hard. I think there's just like this major disconnect between, or like, I think he doesn't understand how much this stuff weighed on me.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, you never shared that. And I'm like, and so now it feels like, well, everything, when I'm explaining it now, it feels like, well, everything was bad before and now everything is great, which I can understand why he would be like skeptical of that.
Yeah. But
I think I was like, it's not like sexy or fun to be like, I feel awful about myself.
Yeah.
Like there are a lot of ways that we connected and we are very honest with each other, but there are some parts of you that you don't want to be honest about because like, I still want my husband to find me attractive.
Yeah, totally.
I don't want to, I don't want to like burden him with those things in some ways. And also like, I kind of want to fake it till I make it on like having him think that I'm very confident because like, I find that attractive. Like,
yeah. I mean, this is not at all the same, but I feel like my mom has said things to me where she's like, but you know, you were so confident before and like you traveled all the time and you did all these things. And it's like, yeah, that's true. But I also didn't tell you what I was really feeling.
Right.
And I didn't tell
you
you
exactly
like
the same thing.
Yeah. Like how much of a struggle that was. And like, I just can remember, I know I've talked about this before, but I can remember like when I got to a point where I was like, I have to start saying yes to things. I can't keep saying no because my like self-consciousness is holding me back. And I said yes to going on this trip with friends to the Bahamas on a beach trip. And the amount of stress and anxiety and money that I spent preparing for that trip to try to even just feel a little bit comfortable in my own skin is exhausting. And that's the stuff that people don't see. They see the photos after the trip. My mom saw all these pictures from the Bahamas. I'm smiling. It looks like I'm having a good time. She didn't see all of the anxiety and stress and worry. It's just taxing. It's really emotionally taxing. And I think it's really hard to share that with people, even your significant other.
Yeah. We had a moment too. So Corey, like, he points to the pictures on the wall and like you guys came over, remember, and you're like, who is this person? Because I don't have any photos of me like post losing weight in our house. I mean, I have some, I guess, but like I haven't ordered any. And so he'll like point to them and be like, I loved her too. Like, I loved you. Why? Like that, what was wrong with you? Like, I don't understand. And I'm like, yeah, I just think he genuinely doesn't get it. And I pointed to a couple of them though. And I'm like, we went to a wedding on Saturday night and I wore heels that like I was able to wear all night. They were like probably 2 inches higher than the ones I'm about to tell the story about. But like I was fine. Like my feet were sore, but I was fine.
That is the novelty of losing weight to me. I did not know that that's why
I didn't really put that together.
So
yeah. I had a friend say that to me years ago and I was like, oh, well, that can't be it for me. Right. Like, but so I pointed to one of the pictures that he was talking about and I was like, do you remember how I had to take my shoes off? We did a pregnancy announcement in Annapolis and we had a photographer and everything. And I had on the same style heels, but they were like 2 inches shorter than the ones I wore on Saturday night. And I had to take them off after the photos and walk barefoot in Annapolis because I was in so much pain. Like I literally couldn't take another step back to our car, walk barefoot in Annapolis, like on the street. Like, I don't think he gets like how much I suffered mentally before I decided to make that choice. It wasn't like they hurt and I took them off, right? Like I was in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
And I was pushing to get through it because I already felt like sweaty and gross and like, like it just, that type of thing is so hard to communicate. And I would have never told my husband that I was like struggling mentally with the freaking shoes. I just like acted like, oh my God, those shoes are so uncomfortable and took them off. Yeah. That was the first he heard of it, but that was not the first I thought of it. Right. And I think there's so many times where that disconnect is so strong. And I also think we've talked about it a number of times that like I had found confidence anyway. I didn't struggle as much as I think a lot of people do toward the end because I did. Like I value having those healthy kids too. And like, I like learned to love my body through pregnancy, even though I was like 300 pounds. Like that was great for me because I'm like, look at what I just created. It's fantastic.
It's amazing.
So like I had a lot of those like, I feel good and I don't really care moments. But I mean, I think it's just hard to communicate that. So I think we're still working through it. And like I don't really think I want to do that in a public setting, to be honest. Like, and
totally fair.
Again, even if everything was hunky dory, I don't know that I would want to commit to sitting down and talking with him because if somebody said something and they would about the way Corey communicates or one of his answers or whatever, I saw the reaction to Bill's stuff after I posted my little story yesterday asking him like, actually, never mind. I don't want to do that. Like, and I'm not just saying this to kiss your ass, but if somebody can figure out what to say about Bill's answers, like, I'll ask Corey questions and share his answers, but I'm not like, that's going to be at my discretion. Yeah. For now.
Yeah. I mean, in a lot of ways, I think Bill and I benefited from me having met him after this weight loss journey. And I met him, after I had lost all of the weight. I had had plastic surgery. So it wasn't like the journey was totally over. It never is. It's lifelong. But I think I had worked through so much of those issues. Yeah. I can't even imagine what it's like trying to be in a relationship through such a complete life change. Yeah. For both you and for Corey. Yeah.
Well, I think too, like, even if I hadn't had weight loss surgery, we've been married 7 years and we have a 3 and a 4-year-old. Mm-hmm. That's a lot. Yeah. Like, and we always say like, cause I grew up in a home where like people were like fighting a lot. Right. And like, we were fine. Everyone's fine. But like in my head, the absence of like passion used to mean that like it was over, like that and so and Corey's the opposite. Like Corey's family, like they're like the, like textbook, like nuclear thing, right? Like, and his parents are still married and stuff. So like, I think he saw something very different than I did. Definitely something very different than I did. And like Corey's just like an easy person. Like he doesn't for better or worse, like he's like very content with a lot of things. Like I never feel like he's like trying to trade in for a newer model, or like he's, you know, like what cars or people, like whatever. He's just like happy.
Yeah.
Which like sometimes drives me nuts because I'm like, I want you to have more drive, but then at the same time, I'm like, I feel so comfortable with you, like, and with our relationship and stuff. And there had been times when the kids were really little where I was like, oh my God, like he's not talking. And like, I'll be like, what's wrong? And he's like, nothing. And I'm like, so when are we getting divorced? Because like, I just didn't, I'm not like familiar with that sort of like peace or, you know, whatever. And so, we had to kind of like work through that a couple years ago, like where I was realizing that like, if we're not like arguing or like head over heels for each other, like that middle ground is like really where you find the magic and comfort of a long-term relationship. And I think like I had to learn that. And so in those moments we would say, like, if it got hard, we'd be like, it's the season. Cause like I'm the person that's like, okay, well, like this isn't working. So like, what are we going to do? Like, do we need to like end this? Which I'm not proud of, but like, that's where I would go a lot.
Your brain goes. Yeah.
And Corey would be like, no, like we're not doing that. Like we're married. Like, no, like we're not walking away from this.
Yeah.
So yeah. And so like he'd be like, this is a season. Like this isn't it for us. And I'm like, oh, and when we started looking at, like, when I started thinking of it like that, I think it helps a lot, but this is just another season for us, you know?
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm not going to do it anytime soon.
Okay. Well, I think that's understandable. And it's always good to like hear your insight though. Cause I think, like I said, like I have not experienced that side of a relationship of like having been with someone through this process. And I think so many people struggle with their relationships. And I think it's also hard to articulate, and it's nice to hear you articulate like where you think some of these issues kind of stem from.
Yeah. I think it's too, like I used to hear this a lot growing up, and like, ironically, my mom had surgery, right? And we know this. And then like my parents got divorced after that. And I think I kind of always assumed that like it was the person who had surgery who like, and this is not a statement on my mom per se. I think she just found confidence and was like, I'm not really happy. And she shouldn't have been. It wasn't a good situation. But like, I just find it, I think I always assumed that the person who lost weight was like, I don't want to be with you anymore. Cause I like, now I think I'm hot shit or whatever. Yeah. And like, that's not true. Probably. That's very judgmental. It's like thinking that like getting a boob job is like totally, you know, like vain. I think I've learned that like this is a very hard thing to go through for yourself, for your partner, for your family, whatever. And it's not about them at the end of the day. And like, that's a lot of times like that's somebody else's issue to work through. But when you decide to marry someone, you decide to be patient with them working through their things too. So like, and there have been a lot of times and still will be that like, he's having to wait for me to catch up on some of this stuff too, or to, you know, to understand what he's going through. So I just think like, it's not as black and white as, you know, like divorce is high after weight loss surgery or whatever. And maybe it's because somebody feels good about themselves. Well, maybe there's like some more to it than that, you know?
Yeah. I don't know how much this applies to romantic relationships, but I imagine it probably does in some sense. But I've definitely had some changes in my friendships since having weight loss surgery. And I think a lot of that comes from like, when you have a relationship with anyone, whether it's a romantic partner or a friendship, like you kind of fit a role in that person's life. And when anything changes about you that changes that role that you play, there's two responses. One, you're going to have the friends who are so proud of you and will cheer you on and grow with you and allow you the space to grow and change and become the person that you are becoming. Yeah. And then there's going to be people who push back at that and say, I don't like that you're moving out of this box that I put you in because it threatens like what I think about myself.
Totally.
And those friendships and relationships don't last. And I imagine the same is true in a romantic relationship, that like you've probably fit a certain role in Corey's world. Yeah. And that role is now totally changing, and he's having to give you the space and room to grow, and he has to adapt to that as well, just as much as you do.
Totally.
And that's hard.
Yeah. I think it's also like it's a mourning process, because like I think he has to mourn the loss of like, I don't think it's not like the person I was before, because I really don't think I'm a very different, like, and I don't think he thinks I'm a very different person, to be honest. I think it's like mourning the loss of like what he thought was true, which is like that I was very confident and that I like, you know, I mean, I would always ask like, how do I look or whatever. And he knew that like I struggled a lot with like image, but like I was so confident in so many other things. And I am still also very confident that his like main reason for loving me is not what I look like. That like I hadn't really given that much stock. I didn't care that much because I'm like, I know that's not what he's like hanging his hat on, and I'm not either. And so like I'm not that worried about it. And I loved a ton of other things about me.
Yeah. As you're talking about that, it makes me think about like, I love Bill so much. Like it's like almost like feels like an extension of me in a lot of ways. And it's a love that I have never felt for anybody else. And when Bill says anything that feels like a dig at himself, or I recognize that he's like insecure about something or he doesn't feel good, it like hurts my soul so badly.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine how I would feel if like I had to accept that for a very long duration of our relationship that he felt that way and I didn't know it.
Yeah.
Like, that would be so difficult to reconcile.
It's funny. I don't think, as you're saying this, this is going to sound like he's an awful person. I truly don't think I have ever heard Corey say something negative about himself.
Really?
Not ever.
Wow.
And if he does, it'll be like, I don't know. People might think that's wrong, but I don't know. Like, it's not ever that
somebody else would say this. But
I don't think he does. Like, he has a level of confidence that is like unmatched, and that's what I find that so attractive.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just the ADHD talking. My sister will tell me if I am.
But imagine
follow up.
Imagine Corey. I can't even think of a good example.
Actually, but he did once. He ordered Invisalign.
Oh yeah, you told me about
and
that.
I was like, what is this? Like, I thought his teeth were great. Like, I didn't never notice anything. Like, but that was the only time, actually. Yeah. And I was so blown away by it because I'm like, what do you do? Like, why are you spending money on this? Like, what is wrong with you? Like, I didn't really care if you spending money. I was just like, I feel like they got you. Like, what are you doing? You don't need this. And he had said, like, for years I've wanted to like straighten my teeth and I think this will work and whatever. And I was like, okay. And I remember calling my sister and be like, like, Corey thinks he needs braces. Like, what is going on? And we were like, what? But I remember saying at that point to my sister, like, if it makes him feel good, like, fine. Cause like, it doesn't matter what I tell him about his teeth. It matters what he sees, Yeah. But, it takes time.
Yeah. But that was one small thing that obviously threw you for a loop to learn that. And Corey's kind of learning this over time of like all these things he didn't know.
I hadn't really thought about it like that because I guess there's just such you get used to like what you're around and like I think it would really, I think if Corey said something about himself that I thought was like negative, I would like fight him on it.
It's tough to hear someone you love say something negative about themselves. So I do want to switch to another topic, but you had mentioned something when you were talking that you had gotten to a place of really loving yourself. I want to know how you think body image has changed from then to now.
Oh my gosh.
Do we have enough time?
No. How long have we been going? I feel like I just talked for an hour. I think I have had to practice body positivity more post-op than I ever did before.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's harder. I think it's probably just more because, maybe it's because I chose not to deal with it before too. Like I would literally like, as if I were meditating, let the thought hit me and move on because I would never have left my room. But I think working out a lot helped me. And again, like curating my social media to the place where like I was surrounded by, at one point, like plus size pregnancy stories. I was actually featured on a plus size pregnancy Instagram years ago.
Oh, it's because you're so pretty.
And actually in it, I talked about how my husband was like my number one supporter. So like, ugh.
Well, he is.
I know. I just can't. The like lovey stuff isn't for me. Anyway, I think it's harder for me right now. But I also like have so many positives that I don't really know that I care as much. I don't know. It's hard to say but I definitely find myself, maybe being like more critical today than I was. And you have talked about a lot, like, there's nothing like novel anymore in maintenance. And so it's like, you start picking things out that you're like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So I don't know. What do you like? Cause you're post plastics. It's a different story maybe, or no, it's still the same thing.
I think it's kind of the same thing. Okay. Honestly, I think this has been an evolving journey for me to kind of learn about myself. But I had such bad body image before. There was rarely a time when I looked at my body and really liked what I saw. I think maybe sometimes I could like a picture of my face, but even like I remember like towards the end when I was at my heaviest, even any photos of my face I hated. I thought my face looked so fat and awful, and I just hated it. And then I lost weight, and it was like nobody could tell me that I was not stunning.
No.
Stunning.
Model status. Yeah. Oh, wait, actually model status. You were before and now you are after.
Yeah, weirdly, I was a plus size model during this, like the lowest low of my body image. I was.
Really? I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. Also, so my parents' house got hit with a hurricane, and in the process of helping them clean up, we found all these old photos that we were going through trying to save. And there's a picture of me when I'm pretty sure I was 13, and I was walking in my first ever, like it was
catwalk?
Yeah, basically like the start of my modeling career. I was a plus size model at the age of 13, and I was shocked at how tiny I was.
Oh my God.
In this photo.
I can't imagine.
It was crazy to me because it was a start. That was basically, I mean, I might date myself because I'm old, but that was what I don't know. I'm 38 now, so I was 13 then. So you do the math.
I cannot.
It was before plus size modeling was really a thing. It was like just getting started.
Okay.
And
you were a pioneer.
I was a pioneer. I hate you. But so plus size models weren't really plus size. And I can remember doing a photo shoot for Dillard's. It was their new plus size line. And I'm like, 13, 14-year-old me wearing these hideous outfits. They were so ugly.
Were they peep shoulder or whatever, cold shoulder tops?
No, like they were worse. It was so much worse. But the smallest size they had was a 1X, and they had to pin it in everything in the back with these like electrical clips.
That's what they do when you try on wedding gowns.
Yeah, bunches of fabric, and because I wasn't a size 1X, I think I was a size 12. So anyway, when I saw
blasphemy,
I know, but like
I want to sue these people.
Yeah, but this is like the world we grew up in, where it was I'm a 13-year-old being told
heroin chic
plus size, and I saw this photo from the hurricane rescue, and I was like, holy moly, because I at the time thought I was so fat. I was so much bigger than everybody else, and I'm like, wow, you look amazing. I was 13, so
I mean, yeah. Well, first of all, who looks amazing at 13? Come on, it's so awkward. I was wearing like my dad's lacrosse shorts and like swimming t-shirts at that time. But I do vividly remember at like 13, probably, I was getting dressed up for Halloween, and I duct taped my stomach like smaller because first of all, I still like to be held in. Okay. And I was so used to like swimsuits that were just like super tight, like you needed a partner to get them on, and you have to like lube up your hands and whatever. So like I was very much more comfortable that way, and I still am today, like being held in. But I was wearing like, I want to say it was like board shorts and like a rash guard or something, and I like duct taped, which I think is innovative. My
you were
stomach.
A pioneer. Was this pre-Spanx?
Wait, a pioneer.
You were also a pioneer.
We're the pioneer women. Wait, is that trademarked? Can we say that? We're the pioneer people.
We're incredible.
People are going to be like, when is Lisa coming back? So yeah, I remember duct taping it with like the adhesive side out first, which by the way, now is what I do when I tape up what's left of my boobs. So adhesive out first, and then wrap it around the other. Skin. Yeah. So it wouldn't like hurt coming off. As a 13-year-old, come on, trademark.
Incredible.
And so, but yeah, I remember doing that, and I could not have been more than a size 8. Ugh. But I was just like, I was around people that were tiny little sticks. And I think even then my tummy was shaped where I had like a pooch, like a mom pooch at size, like age 13.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's wrong with me.
Just born that way.
I was born this way, baby. I'm just stealing everyone's trademarks today. Anyway, body image.
Anyway, yeah. So, so it's interesting that I was like, an active model and still just thought I was, really unattractive and
what is your
awful.
Take on, I wish Lisa was here for this conversation, so maybe we should have it with her at another time. But like, what's your take on the, like, I'll be happy when... Because I do feel like that sometimes with the plastics conversation, but I'm also like, I refuse to live in a world where I'm not going to be happy today. Like,
yeah. So I think that's kind of kind of gets at like what I've been learning, which is that body image has absolutely nothing to do with what your body actually looks like. It's completely in my own head. Because I think I have found one, I think having plastic surgery, I definitely was like, I think I probably fell into that thinking of like, oh, I'm still uncomfortable with how my stomach looks, but once I have the skin removed, then I'll feel good. And I still have moments where like my skin folds funny on my stomach and I'll look down. And I actually, the other day, Bill took a picture. We were laying in bed and I had a sports bra on and shorts, and Teddy was like doing something cute and he took a picture, and I was like, oh, don't get my stomach in it, because I was like bent funny and I knew it was gonna like look funny. So even after losing over 100 pounds and having a tummy tuck, I still have those moments of being like, oh, I don't want that part showing, or I don't want to look like that. So I think that has learning like there is no end point where you're going to be completely happy.
There's no switch that's going to flip. Yeah.
But also I think what I've learned is it's a lot of the external factors that determine how I feel. So when I'm not working out, I pick myself apart.
I think that's my issue lately. Yeah.
And I'll look at my thighs and be like, why do they look the same size that they used to before I lost
weight? Or bigger.
Weight? Like,
now they're bigger, actually.
Why are they so big? And like, why are they so jiggly? And then I go work out one time with personal trainer and I'm like, I am ripped.
Right. Also,
look at those muscles.
Call that modeling agency back, because I'm going back to the business, baby.
Yeah. Or like sometimes the clothes that I wear will kind of affect how I feel. So if I'm like wearing something that's a little bit too tight for me, I convince myself that I'm enormous and have gained all the weight back. And if I put on clothes that fit and I feel good in, I'm like, yeah, I feel amazing. And it has nothing to do with what my body looks like. My body hasn't changed in a year plus, but the way I feel about my body has changed dramatically over the course of that year. And so I think that's been a huge lesson for me. And I often think about, if I had learned this lesson before I lost weight, would I have felt so desperate for that change of weight loss? Like, would I have pursued weight loss surgery or felt like I needed it so much?
My answer would be 100% yes. Because I didn't do it just for, like, not just for, it wasn't, I told Corey this yesterday. I don't even think that what I looked like was on the top 3 of my reasons for wanting to do this. Yeah. Didn't care. I mean, because I had just like come to I truly like, first of all, didn't believe that it would work for me. So I'm like, don't want to get too
don't get your hopes up.
But also I like, there were so many other things that I wanted to be able to do. And I think, for me, the biggest one was like kind of closing the gap between who I thought I was and what the world perceived me as, and also what my actual ability was, which was like, I'm an athlete in my head, but then I run like a 5K and I'm limping for 3 weeks or whatever. Right. Yeah. Like, so that was like my number one. I just don't think I'm so thrilled that I'm thrilled with the way I look right now. I'm not going to lie, but like most of the time, but, I mean, there were days that you couldn't, like, nobody can't tell me nothing when I was 300 pounds, I was looking at pictures today because I was doing like a side-by-side of our weddings recently. Yeah. And like, I was like, oh, I don't want to use that as a before picture because I look fucking great.
I was going to say, I think that sometimes too. When I actually look back at those photos and I'm like, she's cute.
Yeah. Like, I'm not going to like degrade. What is the word? I'm not going to like tear that photo down by using it as a before. Cause I look real good, like my lipstick is on point. I'm like so cute. So anyway, I don't know. I think I still definitely would have done it. Cause like those reasons were further down the list. They were still on the list. They were further down for me.
I mean, I think for me, the health stuff was more of the catalyst, but I desperately wanted to lose weight. Not necessarily I didn't want to be like, oh, like I need to be super hot. I just was so tired of feeling so deeply insecure and uncomfortable in my own skin. And I just like, it was like this sense of like, I know life has to be easier when you're not dealing with this. And I'm here to tell you that it is.
Can we talk about one other thing?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sticking to the agenda. I had a wonderful person today who I met for the first time. And we were sitting and chatting after a thing for work. And she said something about how she hadn't had sugar in 6 days. And
sounds awful.
She was like an average size person. And so she's like, I haven't had sugar, but I went to Tate this morning and had a chocolate croissant. And I had just been like, Tate is great, but I don't love their pastries because like they're just like run of the mill. But anyway, so she's like, yeah, I had a chocolate croissant. It was great. And I don't know if it's just because I hadn't had sugar in 6 or 7 days, or if it was because like, it was actually great. And I'm like, well, why are you not having sugar for 6 or 7 days? Like in my head. And we started talking, and like, then we got on weight loss surgery and whatever. And I said, like, I think I go through phases where I will have more sugar or less, but I just like, I don't like care about it as much anymore. I don't put as much stock in it because it's like not illegal for me to have it.
Right.
And I obviously have to be careful because I don't want to be like throwing up, but like, yeah, I had a raspberry bar from Baked and Wired today, and I was like, this is fantastic. And I was like, maybe I'll just have half of it, but I wanted the whole thing, and so I had the whole thing. And like, and then I didn't think about it again for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
And she said something after I said this about oh, is it like, can you just like have it or whatever, and it's not off limits because like you can eat all you want, you won't gain weight? And I was like, no, that's not exactly how this works. But yeah, okay. I'm like, well, yeah, no, I think you're a nice person, but I think you're a little off on this part, but like whatever, we just met. I'm like, that's not exactly how it works. So
yeah, but there is a lot of freedom, I think, that comes with you know, now, like for us to, I think I would have been probably more like her before. I would have been on like some sugar fast and
all the time
doing something crazy. And actually I had an opportunity to work with like a functional nutrition person, which sounded really cool. And I was asked why from my management team, why I wasn't interested in doing it. And I was like, well, it says you have to stick to a 3-month nutrition protocol. I'm like, I just don't know if I can sign up for that. Because I love the freedom of not having to do that. And the idea of like having to do anything that restricts me, I'm like, nah, I don't think so.
We're saying goodbye to that. And then at the same event today, a guy said to me that he didn't work out, and so he was fasting today. And I was like, we don't earn our food. And he was like, I'm like, I'm trying so hard to say it until I believe it.
Yeah.
But we don't earn our food. Like, are you hungry?
Yeah.
Eat something. He's like, I want to lose like 20 or 25 pounds. And I think when I say, like, if I say anything, it's like, well, I'm not going to have weight loss surgery. So like, obviously you don't know what you're talking about. So, but, yeah, I don't know. I was like, we don't do that anymore.
I know.
But I
think Lisa talked about it last week, where we like have all these food rules for ourselves that like we impose on ourselves, where it's like, if I don't run today, I can't have carbs.
So I was working at the same place, the same restaurant, for 6.5 years before I just left in July. And I never once ordered it was like a bowls concept. I never ordered a bowl that was like a curated thing, like something that was on the menu.
Okay.
Because there was always something that I wasn't eating.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? For 6.5 years, I did that. And then after surgery, I was like, yeah, maybe I should try these. Like, I've been here so long and I haven't done it. And now like it's a similar thing, but now I do it and I'm like, I'll have it all. I don't know. It's kind of cool.
Well, we got off topic with body image, but
what?
I think the short and sweet is that it's complicated, and losing weight does not automatically improve your body image. It can, and it does in some ways, and it improves your life in a lot of ways.
It definitely improves my life. Don't think it improved my body image per se. Yeah.
All right. Do we want to get into the latest social media controversy?
Social media pics. Is that where we are? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I don't know what you meant by that. So
I know I don't either. So I don't think I was functioning. Yeah, we can.
So, okay. I might be opening a can of worms with this one, but there have been quite a few people in the weight loss surgery community promoting brands and products that are called GLP1 boosters or activators. They are not GLP-1 prescription medication like Ozempic or Mounjaro or tirzepatide or whatever you want to call it. They are basically fiber supplements. If you look at the ingredients, they're basically a blend of non-soluble fiber.
Are the ingredients actually like on them, or do they have to be?
Yeah, they list the ingredients, but they claim that it boosts GLP-1 naturally. I'm air quoting if you're listening.
And you shouldn't be, because everyone asks us to do these video podcasts. And
I know.
No one's watching them. So go on YouTube and watch her air quotes.
So there's been kind of a divide between people who are like saying, oh, this is so unethical. These products are like marketing scams and these influencers shouldn't be promoting them. And then there's the other people who are saying, I'm using it and it's really working for me. And if it's working for me, I'm going to share it with my followers. And people who are like, hey, I actually do need help. And yeah. So what are your thoughts?
Okay. First of all, anytime someone is saying this is really working for me, I would like to know how long they've been doing this and what they were struggling with before.
Yeah.
Because if a person has been successfully in maintenance for years, whatever, and they're like, whatever, that's the part of their journey that they're in. And then you start taking some, and you're not struggling perhaps, or maybe you are a little bit, but you're maintaining and like you have some sort of like normal life. If now you've been trying something for like a few weeks or 2 months, even whatever, I don't know. It's just maybe this is my ADHD brain, but I don't trust that that much. And I think I'm lucky in that, like, first of all, I can ask you because I know you've done the research, but also that I'm not like searching for something anymore. Like even some of the stuff that you promote, like I used it a couple times and I'm like, that's great, but like I don't need it. I don't think I'm good, or
Yeah.
And maybe if they paid me to say it, I wouldn't be like, it's life changing. Listen, I'm not out for anybody trying to not get their money, but
I found a text message exchange with my manager where I was asked.
I thought it was with me when you pulled it up and I started panicking.
No. Cause I obviously like, I am a self-proclaimed supplement girly. I love my stuff.
Yeah.
And I love to share the things that I love. I was asked to promote one of these products, and, this was, my manager said, the brand said that mentioning GLP-1 is a must-have, not optional. Quote, it's delicious, convenient, and proven to boost your body's GLP-1 naturally, which is the same hunger quieting hormone boosted by drugs like Ozempic or something along those lines. There's a few more things. And then I said, I'm not comfortable with that messaging. It feels like a gimmicky weight loss product, and that would be the total wrong thing for my platform and my audience.
Yeah.
I think this product is great. The macros are good, but I just can't promote it like that.
Yeah.
So
the macros are good. Oh,
it was a bar. It was like it was just a bar. So my point is I don't promote things just because people offer to pay me, and in case my audience.
I'm saying I might though.
I'm just kidding. In full transparency, like I think you guys should know, I think I was offered about $2,000 for that campaign that I said no to because I said I'll tell people it's a good snack bar because it was.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to promote it like that, and they said no, and I said okay, and you walk away from that money. But $2,000 is a lot of money.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people who I think
you're looking at one. I'm just kidding.
Allie's like, I'll do it.
No,
what's the brand?
Actually, with as little a presence as I have, we talked about this a little bit, but I got offered something that like I had never used, never heard of. And the idea was like, you don't even have to use it to promote it. And I was like, this feels so weird.
Yeah.
Like why? And I obviously didn't, but I'm like, this feels so weird.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's tough. It's really tough. And I think I have to say, like, I acknowledge that I have the benefit of being being an influencer is such a blessing. It's been such a huge blessing in my life, but I have the benefit of this not being my full-time income.
Yeah.
I don't depend on any of that money from any of those campaigns to pay my rent or pay my bills. That I have to imagine is a lot harder when
like
that
you have to feed your kid.
Yeah, like exactly. You're trying to feed your family. So like I try to have some level of understanding of like, it's easier for me to say no to things than it is for somebody else.
Yeah.
I think what's challenging for me in this space in particular is like, one, I think there should be messaging that if you need help after bariatric surgery, you should get that help. That this is not an end all be all. And if you're struggling with regain, or you're struggling with some of that, what we call food noise, which I think is such a good way to describe it, where it's like that chronic thought about what am I eating next?
Yeah.
Like, if you're consumed with that after bariatric surgery, you haven't failed, right? And it's okay to need help. And I think you should ask for help.
Yeah.
I don't think you should get that help in the form of fiber supplements masquerading as...
Yeah, just get like Benefiber.
Yeah, like go get some Metamucil. It just feels like, and honestly, if somebody wanted to say, hey, I've been drinking this fiber drink and actually it's helped me a lot. Great.
Yeah, because fiber keeps me full or whatever,
yeah.
right? Like,
I have no problem saying that. It's the marketing of it, because they know GLP-1s are like a hot topic for weight loss, and they're like, oh, it's like nature's Ozempic. What? No, it's not.
Well, like I'm trying to think of like another, maybe I'm just not as in touch, but I'm trying to think of like another realm where like stuff like this is marketed for things like just like I don't know. Maybe it's like, I'm not a bodybuilder, but maybe on that side of the world, there are things like that where that's why I asked if they actually list the ingredients. Cause like a lot of supplements, you don't have to, right? Like, I don't think you.
Yeah, they do. I mean, I think all the ones that I've seen, I'm not sure if Kourtney Kardashian's brand does. Her Lemmy brand has one that's like I forget what they call it, but it's some like GLP1 booster thing. I don't know if they do, but essentially all they are is fiber. And again, if you have found something that works for you, if you want to drink a little fiber drink every day and that helps like quiet your cravings and you're doing better than ever, that's amazing. Yeah. That is so amazing. But you also have to recognize what is a marketing ploy and what's not. And I think as an influencer, you do have a responsibility to say, hey, I love this product. I'll talk about it, but I can't say this because this is preying on a vulnerable audience. I know that I have a lot of people who follow me who have had weight loss surgery, are struggling with weight loss, are trying to lose weight. And I'm really sensitive to the things that I promote and the way that I promote them because I never want to make anyone feel like you have to buy this thing to be successful. Or if you buy this thing, it's going to change your life and you're going to lose a bunch of weight because that's just not true.
Yeah. Dude, I don't know. I was in my head, I'm thinking like people must hear this stuff and know it's BS, but I don't think they do. And I don't know that I would have 2 years ago. I don't know.
I posted about this on my stories because one of the companies had published some research that they claimed, showed how effective their product was. And there were so many flaws with the research. And I just talked about from kind of a scientific study perspective, all the flaws in that study. And I had several messages of people reaching out being like, thank you for breaking this down. I was about to order. I was thinking about ordering it. And I think where a lot of people were struggling is that because of access and kind of a lack of understanding of where these GLP-1 injectables come in, they may not qualify. So imagine you have weight loss surgery, you get down to a relatively normal BMI, but you're like struggling hard to stay there.
Yeah.
You don't qualify for GLP-1 medications. And you probably should because you have the disease of obesity. Yeah. We know it's a chronic disease. It needs treatment. But if you don't qualify, then you're just sitting there in this kind of no man's land struggling. And you see somebody say, oh, I took this thing and it helped me. And you're like, oh, thank God.
Right. There's another option.
Yeah, that's what I need.
You're a better person than me because I wasn't thinking that all the way through. I just feel like, I don't know. Maybe it's just if I hear something that's like so too good to be true, I'm like, it is.
Yeah. You're a lot more skeptical.
Yeah, very, very much so. And also, if you're delivering it to me with like a peppy little attitude, I'm going to for sure be like, garbage.
Yeah.
Total garbage.
Okay. So cut my peppy attitude when I talk about things I like.
But then I get on there and I'm peppy like a whatever weirdo. So I don't know. Maybe it's just like my stage presence.
It's just who you are.
I was born this way.
You were.
Yeah. I don't know.
I do actually think though, it brings up an interesting point in conversation of like, what is the long-term treatment plan for a bariatric patient? Yeah. And I do think we do people a disservice by saying you have bariatric surgery and then you're basically done.
You're done. Yeah.
And there's actually a few surgeons and people that I follow that have gone to these surgeons who have like a much longer protocol. And that protocol includes GLP-1 medications like relatively soon after surgery and presumably for life, which I think is incredible. And I think that's probably the future of bariatric medicine is like a combination approach. Yeah. And it's just so tough for those people who kind of fall in that middle ground of like, it's like, okay, so you either gain back enough weight that then you qualify for these medications and then you got to lose it all again, or you just stay where you are and you struggle every single day. And that's not great. It's just tough. And I think we need to do a better job of figuring out how to treat people.
Yeah. I'm wondering as you're talking, I'm thinking about like if information and like actual medication or treatment was accessible in more ways to more people, like then I guess this sort of thing, it wouldn't be something that people would fall for, right? Because like they're not desperately seeking, and not just after weight loss surgery, but like at all.
Yeah, no, that's.
I mean, literally, like weight loss surgery is prohibitive for people. Yeah. So like, like maybe they are grasping at straws for that. But again, I just think like if you're considering putting something in your body, you should like Google it. Yeah. Right. Like, and not just don't go on Instagram for that type of thing. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, I don't think these are harmful, which is probably their one redeeming quality. Is I don't think there's anything that's going to hurt you in taking these, but they're expensive. Some of them are like $120, $130.
I would argue that there are some damaging mental effects for saying like, okay, this is going to work for me, and then you're failing at something else because it's actually garbage and not you.
That's a good point.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Wow. Glad we're ending on that note.
Wow, that was... Well, Allie, this has been...
Thank you for the pajama party.
Yeah, this has been a great pajama party. I feel like we covered a lot of ground.
We did. And I also wore a bra for the pajama party, which was not something I would normally do.
Yeah, that's probably good because we are on video now.
So. Yeah, well, I want to remind people to go to YouTube and watch our video podcast since we did that, since everyone asked for it. And then we had, I think, the first day, 16 people or something. And
we were like 16 views. And we were like,
the
womp,
7 hours of like you figuring that out and us editing it to get it on there. Gosh. It's like, okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So if you like this podcast and you want to support our podcast, please subscribe. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and share this podcast with someone who you think might like it. That's the best way that you guys can support us.
Totally. Or if they hate listen, maybe you think they'll hate it and you should share it with them too.
You should totally share it with them and like talk shit about us together.
Yeah, please do.
Please do it.
Have a group chat.
If you want to follow us on social media, we are at Former Fat Friend Pod. I'm at Maintaining Kasey.
I'm at Allie's Losing It _RNY.
And Lisa is at Leaning Into Lisa. And we hope you enjoyed this episode, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for coming.